Alright, so Elysius does things a little differently. No map, no minimap, no glowing arrows telling you, hey, walk here. Not even a regular quest log. Instead, it takes this old school route where your progress really depends on how curious you are, how much you pay attention, and honestly, whether you can remember where you've been. Now, that sounds a little harsh, right? But it's not like the game is just being difficult for the sake of it. The whole exploration side is built around investigation, finding clues in the world, reading weird cryptic notes, piecing things together, and when it clicks, it feels awesome. Honestly, I think that's where the game shines the most. Combat's worth digging into too. You can definitely feel the souls like DNA here. Stamina, various swings, all that good stuff. But it's not just a copy paste, it's got its own twist. So here's what we're gonna do. First, we'll talk about how exploration and investigations actually drive the game forward, and then we will dive into the combat system, how it balances being challenging while also giving you room to play creatively. Exploration in Elysius isn't about chasing markers on a map, it's about actually investigating. You're talking to people, asking questions, connecting dots. Like right at the start, my character is just looking for his parents. That's it. The only lead I've got, a village called Jova. I ask around and someone says, oh yeah, you'll find it past Akasa marshes. But here's the catch, you can't just walk there, you need a vehicle. Boom, that's your next goal. Every time you uncover something like this, it gets noted in your little data pad under the investigation tab. Main investigations branch off into smaller ones, and each new character you meet fills in another piece of the puzzle. For me, I ended up talking to this military officer who actually owned a vehicle, but is badly injured and can't help me directly. Instead, he gives me another lead on where the key might be, and the chase continues. That's the rhythm here. You ask, search, connect, and repeat. The datapad helps organize stuff, but it doesn't spoon feed answers. It's on you to make sense of it. And that's what makes every breakthrough feel earned. Progress doesn't just happen, you feel like the detective. Now let's talk about the actual word. This game does not care about giving you a GPS, no glowing breadcrumbs. It's all natural signposting. Someone might tell you, hey, it's past the church, and that's it. So you've got to actually look around, maybe climb up high to spot a landmark, then figure out your own way there. You get a compass that helps a bit. It doesn't point out exact spots, but it'll at least keep you moving in the right direction. Like when that injured officer told me to grab a med kit, his only hint was go west. That was it. And sure enough, following the compass west got me there. Environmental hints also come into play. That same officer explained that soldiers had carved marks on the trees to guide the way. Subtle but super useful. Plus, sound design helps too. Those little wind chimes you hear, that's the hub, the balancing area. If you get turned around, you just follow the sound back home. And then there are mysteries, side stories that often reward you with new gear. Some are serious, like piecing together notes and diaries. Others are almost playful, like this one where a kid painted rocks bright colors to make a treasure hunt. Following those goofy little boulders across the map eventually led me to some great loot. And as you progress, regions get way more open. At first, it's kinda linear, just easing you in. Later, it's sprawling, villages, deep woods, ruins stacked with secrets. And the best part, once multiple regions unlock, you can tackle them however you want. If something's too tough, back out, try somewhere else, come back later stronger. This mix of compass navigation, environmental hints, audio cues, and optional mysteries, it makes exploration feel tense and intentional. You are always observing, listening, piecing things together. It's way more satisfying than just chasing icons. And honestly, I am personally loving it. It feels refreshing, and I'm sure some of you will dig this approach too. It really makes the world feel alive and worth exploring. Now, there are a hell lot of puzzles in this game, and these aren't your usual pull a lever door opens kind of puzzles. No, Elysius wants you to pay attention, like really pay attention. The first ruins I stumbled into had three big stone pillars, each with different symbols. Way too many combinations to brute force, unless you've got a few years to spare and a very patient personality. The trick, the clues were in the environment. One broken symbol etched outside and two faintly carved on a nearby wall. Put them together, spin the pillars, and boom, door opens. That moment sets the tone perfectly. And later on, puzzles introduces your drone. It can scan inscriptions, but instead of just dumping answers, it gives you these weird riddles and fragments you have to figure out yourself. And the game doesn't even log this in your data pad. I literally found myself snapping photos on my phone so I could work them out later. Felt a bit like a cursed escape room, except with more ancient ruins and fewer overpriced snacks. Weirdly, that extra step made it feel even more immersive, like I was actually decoding forbidden knowledge. And the puzzles scale up. By the time you're deep in, there's sprawling, multi-step challenges that really test your observation and deduction skill. When you finally crack one, it's this big aha moment, and yeah, maybe a little bit of a victory dance in your chair. Totally worth it. Okay, let's talk combat. At first glance, it looks like your classic Souls-like setup. Stamina bar, heavy swings, and plenty of punishment if you mess up. Every attack, every block, it all eats into stamina. And when you take a hit, you're not just losing health, you're losing stamina too. Double pain. But here's where Helios flips the script. Land enough hits and you start gaining back resources through a mechanic called pulsing. Think of it as a risk and reward healing. Every time you rack up temporary health, you have to lock it in with a perfectly timed button press. Nail it and that recovery sticks. Miss it and it's gone forever. It kinda turns every fight into this tense rhythm where you're managing swings, stamina, and healing windows all at once. Pull it off and you feel like a legend. Drop it and yeah, you're toast. So all of this makes combat feels aggressive, dangerous, and just unpredictable enough that you're always on edge. Every fight's a gamble, but one you actually want to take. You've got four main toys to swing around: Sword, Great Sword, Twin Axes, and the Polar Arm. Each one plays differently. The sword you're quick and reliable all-rounder, the great sword hits like a truck but swings like one too. Twin axes are speedy but risky. And the polar arm, that's for when you want to poke things from a socially acceptable distance. Here's the twist. Charged heavy attacks aren't free. They run on limbic energy, that white bar at the top of your screen. Spend too much and suddenly your big moves are gone. The only way to refill it, keep fighting. No combat, no juice. And that limbic energy isn't just for weapons. Hold the left trigger and you'll access glyphs and relics, basically your special powers. We are talking AoE explosion, emergency healing, ranged zaps, all of them guzzle energy. So you're always weighing the choice. Do you spend big now and risk going dry? Or play it safe and save the fuel for later? Blocking works, sure, but Paris is the real MVP. Time one perfectly, especially on those nasty red flash heavy attacks, and you'll shatter enemy posture, leaving them wide open for a finishing move that looks as brutal as it feels. And against shielded enemies, parries aren't just useful, they're basically required. Healing works two ways. You got your standard medkits, sure, but the real spice is the pulse system. Every hit you land builds temporary health, and the only way to lock it in is by pressing R1 when that white flash appears. Miss the timing and it's gone. Nail it and you're golden. In fact, get good at it and you might not even touch a medkit the whole game. Then there's your drone. Tap the right trigger and you can sick it on enemies. Drop AoE blast or even knock foes flat on their backs. It's not just a gimmick either. The drone can interrupt combos, stagger smaller enemies, and buy you breathing room when things get hectic. With upgrades, it can even chain damage or debuff tougher foes, turning it from a handy helper into a real game changer. And let's be honest, it just looks cool having your own little combat drone hovering by your side. Paired with your weapons and glyphs, the drone rounds out a surprisingly versatile toolkit. It's like running a three-part orchestra. You swing the blade, the glyphs bring the magic, and the drone keeps the rhythm by zapping anything that gets too close. Think of it as your robotic sidekick. Less R2-D2, more angry toaster with wings. And once you get used to it, fighting without it feels almost impossible. Now here's the letdown. Combat starts strong, tense, deliberate, and rewarding, but the longer you play, the cracks show. Pulse healing is so powerful it makes you feel nearly invincible. Add in glyphs and relics and you're a walking tank. Fights eventually boil down to the same loop. Hit stuff, pulse heal, and repeat. Enemy variety doesn't help either. Most of what the game throws at you appears early and after that it gets predictable. Between balance issues and repetitive encounters, combat ends up being the weakest link. It's fun in the moment but it doesn't quite evolve the way you'd hope. And that's the breakdown. Helios isn't perfect, but it's definitely doing something different and that alone makes it worth giving a try. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, drop a comment with your thoughts and subscribe for more deep dives into upcoming games. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.